Welcome, friends, to episode 343 of Color Magic, your Magic Gaming podcast, where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 343 episodes, still got my main man, probably a little sadder today, and we'll talk about that later. But Brian Sonic, how's it going, man?
343 is. I feel like that's got to be somebody's area code, right? That just sounds.
It's probably one of the ones where Ludacris or whoever it was telling us where he's got some different area codes. That's probably one of them. Yep. The 343 somewhere. I could probably look like what area code is 343. Somebody's got one.
Right.
Let's see. We're in 343. I got to put in the US to be specific. It is not located in the U.S. It's Eastern Ontario, Canada, actually.
But it does exist. All right.
Yep.
So to anybody listening in the 343, special shout out to you. One of my favorite, random rap meme / experiments. I'm sure you've seen the one where somebody did way too much research and determined what day on the calendar Ice Cube's good day was.
Oh, yeah. We have a National Good Day.
Wow. That's wild. So thank you, Google, for the ability to do all that research. That predated AI, as far as I know.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely was. Yeah, we've known about the Good Day thing for at least 8 or 10 years now, so minimum. So somebody definitely figured that out and put some time in.
Hard work into that.
All right, man. Like I said, we got a lot to cover on this episode. Some highs, some lows, some sadness, some good stuff this week. But we do want to remind you, if you'd like to support this show and give us a little bit of love, you can go to patreon.com/colormagic, and you can get a shout out just like Lawson Williams. I'm going to give a shout out because Lawson's been one of our top tier patrons for a long time, and he's been going through some stuff. So not going to put all your business out there, but just want to say thanks for being a supporter through everything. You should go check out our sponsor over at ManaPool.com. Great place to buy Magic cards. I think now they have over 35 million cards in stock there that you can check out. Also, one of the best optimizers in the business to help you find cards at the cheaper prices and the fewest packages, because that's always a hassle when you're ordering. But yeah, go check them out. Show them some love over at ManaPool.com. All right, dude. I kind of want to start. This is kind of a conversation about general tournament attendance and competitive play, right? Because there was a point in time where Magic only really focused on competitive play, right? And that's kind of all there was. There was Grand Prix and Pro Tours, and even your Friday Night Magics were competitive, right? That's just all there was. And if you played casually, you kind of played just shoebox Magic with your friends, whatever cards you had, whatever. Now, obviously, we still have competitive play, but it's at a level of you go there for the prize money and competitive stuff, but your regular non-competitive Magic is very casual, and there's a lot of it. But one of the things we've seen as part of conversations is, hey, could we increase this by making better promos to draw people to these competitive events? And I kind of agree, but also not totally. Because my whole thing is, I don't think it's just promos that are going to encourage people, but there will be at least some percentage of people that will turn up if the promos are more worthwhile.
Yeah, I think if people aren't hyped about the set, there's no promo in the world probably going to get them through the door.
Yeah, and
first you got to be, you got to really be interested in what the set is offering you.
Yeah, I think though, for me, it's and this applies to everything, not even just Magic, but if you're going to have something that's going to be a promotional tool and you're encouraging people to come do whatever activity it is you want them to do, come to a tournament, shop at your store, go to a convention, whatever, the promotional item needs to be enticing.
Definitely. You want it to be, it's your... I'm trying to think of the proper showbiz analogy. It's not... Well, when do you, I guess... You get the promo right at the beginning, right? Or is it at the end?
I mean, technically there's some that you get just for participating, and there's some you get for making top 8 or winning the event, right? So everybody, usually the participation one, the store owners or judges will just hand those out during the first or second round, just so everybody just has them. And then the others get handed out toward the end as you start to finish the tournament, obviously.
And so, like, would you say both of those need to be, a banger after banger, or just the one that, top 8, or how would you?
Generally, what Wizards does right now is like the participation one is usually like an uncommon that is a known-ish card, and then either the top 8 or the winner's card is more significant, usually a
Which
rare
again
mythic or
makes sense
something.
because you had to win to get that card.
Yeah.
So you definitely want to walk away with the ooh, okay. I really, I had a good run. I won something important that I'll remember.
Yeah, but my issue though is they should still be desirable.
Yeah,
And
both
in
of them
many
should be should be
yeah, like there's no
something
reason
you
for
want.
them not to be. Is my problem, right? Because one of the and I we talked about this off the air, but I don't think I've actually told it on air on camera. But early on, there used to be a problem with Friday night promos because before you got the promo packs, for those of you that are new players, you used to just have different promos that were sent to stores, and they were usually for the month. If you showed up to say like a Friday Night Magic, everybody who showed up would get one of these promos. Well, there were a lot that just weren't good. They arguably were bad, right? So people are just like, why is this even the promo? Like nobody's going to play this. Nobody wants this. And part of the reason, which I found out after having been there for a bit, is that because they wanted the promos to have alternate art to be more desirable, those had to be commissioned along with all the rest of the art in the process of building the set. So R&D kind of had to predict what they thought either a certain deck might be created out of the set or what the metagame might look like or whatever, and get all those done at the same time. But inevitably, that means they missed on a lot of them because either the deck they thought would be good, we never discovered as a community, or the community made something better, or the metagame just went a certain way, so certain cards weren't usable, whatever the case is.
And I feel like that happens every set where we think something's going to be hype and it's trash, and vice versa. The thing that we thought was going to do.
Yeah,
Obviously, there are cases like Oko, or even me, somebody who's not all that good at the game, can be like, "Wait, what the f? This seems ridiculous."
yeah, that's definitely a thing, right? So that is what made it difficult. And while I was there, I believe it was Chris Tulloch also, so credit to him. Uh, we kind of brought the idea of like, well, what if we just didn't have to have bad promos, right? So I started talking to R&D, and I said, well, what if we just came up with a different border instead of having different art? And then we don't have to do stuff so far ahead in the process, and we can make a better prediction and whatever. And lo and behold, turns out R&D has a whole bunch of files with different card frames because, they're artists and they're always working on things and there's like cool stuff there. So that was cool. And then we got those for a while, and they eventually had the promo packs. But the average hit rate of the stuff with the different borders was actually a little bit more, which was kind of cool. Or higher, I should say. So we can do promos that matter, especially for stuff like this where the card isn't always even a card of the set. Like most recently, I think Laughing Jasper Flint, the card's name, the lizard that came out in Thunder Junction, was a promo. Well, that set came out 2 years ago. So there's no reason we couldn't have just had a better card in that slot, right? Like that's a case where we can't even say predicting the set is the problem because it could have been anything, you know? So I don't really understand why that's a decision. Other than on some level, Wizards is trying to hold on to some amount of reprint equity. So they can put valuable cards in future sets and encourage you to buy more packs or whatever, which there's some of that you have to protect. It's part of the business, whether we like it or not. That's fine. But I think we could still just make better cards. There's just no reason for them to not be a thing. Because I'm even looking through some of the recent promos. Like a Burst Lightning makes sense. It's a red card. It's in almost every one of the red decks. If you're splashing for removal, sure, that's a card everybody's going to play. As a participation card, makes perfect sense, right? That's a good choice. But then we're looking at stuff like one of the beholders from one of the sets is one of them. Gwenna Eyes of Gaia was one. It's like they're playable, I guess, but they're not desirable. Now when you have stuff like Treasure Cruise, which is an almost hell, there's a whole bunch of decks that play Treasure Cruise in the older formats, then like that's a card people are going to turn up for. I would even argue that sometimes making older cards available while the events you would play to get them are standard and whatnot, you could encourage some players who wouldn't normally play standard to at least build a deck and come try because they want these rare cards for their decks or whatever, because they're going to have value. So if I was on the decision making group, process, board, whatever they call it, team, I would be leaning toward, hey, let's find stuff that at least is played in 3 or 4 decks, is a semi-hot card, and let's make that something people at least want to turn up to get. Right? And we know it works because back when we were still, I would say, in a more casual situation for F&Ms back in 2016, they had Fatal Pushes, which is at the time one of the best removal cards, and it was just like an uncommon. But that month for F&Ms had so many people turning up because they were playing these older formats at one of them, and those were going for like $30 and $40 at the time. So it can definitely be done. And I think that would be encouraging and do what it needed to do. And I think we've reached a point now where you don't have to worry about competitive players showing up and making the experience negative for the beginner casual player, because those people are doing other things now. Right now, the people showing up to play these tournaments that would be getting these promos are already in the casual mindset. I was trying to think of a way to say that
Right,
that makes sense without making up a word, but like,
without them sounding like a piece of furniture or
exactly.
leisure wear. You casual, you
Yeah.
swimsuit.
But yeah, so I think it's a good idea. I think the conversation has some weight. I don't think it would be as effective as the people pushing it think it would be, but I think it would still be effective.
I can see that.
So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. I think it would still be worth doing. I think it would be a neat idea. If Wizards want some ideas of cards to use, hey, hit me up. I'm available on the internet all the time. So, I think there's some good things we could do. Because man, I'm going through some recent promos, and some of the it's neat because they hit on some like Explore, Preordain. Like those are cool cards. But like I said, you have Gwenna, Eyes of Gaia, that you're just like, okay, I guess. Like who really wants this? Like Tragic Trajectory. Fine, it's a playable card. It shows up in some standard decks, but it's not valuable enough to get anybody excited. So we can do better. I think we can definitely do better than that. But anyway, let's get into the soapbox because I have kind of a silly one to talk about today. And I think people will relate to this. And this just starts with, okay, it came up again because it comes up pretty regularly. For those who don't know, if on Magic Arena, periodically they'll do a thing where you can get either gold or gems for what they call 90% off. So basically you can get 1,000 gold for spending 100 gold, which for anybody who plays Arena, 100 gold is basically nothing. Like you can earn 100 gold in 5 to 10 minutes worth of time sometimes. But 1,000 gold is enough to get you a booster pack. So it's basically like, hey, go log in, click a button, get a free booster pack, basically. Used to how those type of promotions should be used to get you to go to the client, at least open it up, try to get you to spend some time on it. But inevitably, I will have people be upset about it. And I normally just post on a couple of socials. I send something out to my YouTube subscribers so they don't miss them, right? Just like, hey, in case you missed it, go log in, get your free stuff. And people are like, well, they're just trying to entice people to do this thing, or I don't know why people would go get that. This thing sucks, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how are you so angry that you're mad at a thing that's free? Like, and I've seen this in other games too. And I'm just like, what are we mad at? Like, if the free thing is taking away something I enjoy for it to exist, like let's say Arena doing these free gold or gems or whatever things meant that other things in the client cost 10% more or whatever, then yeah, we could be bothered by it. But it's literally just an extra add-on to get you to go open the client. So like, who cares? Like especially from the people, and the one that really gets me is I know some of the people don't even play it anyway. So like you're not even going to play Arena. So why do you care? Right? Same thing if you don't play League of Legends. Like I told you before, I quit playing League of Legends. When I see crazy stuff on there, I'm like, sucks for those people because I ain't playing the game anymore. Right? Like whatever they do to it, what they do to it. It ain't got nothing to do with me. But I'm not going to look and be like, I can't believe they're doing this thing and giving this away to people or whatever. Like, who cares? It doesn't affect me. Like, what are we doing? And honestly, part of me feels like if you're one of those people, you probably aren't having fun with your games in general. You're just angry at life, and you got to check yourself, man. Like, we got to get back to just enjoying our games and having some fun and accepting like, hey, it's nice when the companies, the whatever they call it, the 1,000-pound gorillas in the room or whatever, at least give us a little something back. It's not a lot, but let's at least take it. You know what I mean? Like, let's not discourage them from having the behavior we want them to have. It's just one of those things. It just bugs me because I'm like, it, I don't know. It's like people want to be mad at the things that don't matter. And it maybe that's just a thing with life right now that's annoying me. But like people like just focus if you're going to be negative, focus it. Put it somewhere useful. Let's try to get something reasonable fixed. Let's try to change something. Like being mad that the game's giving away something for free to the people who play it. So what? Like what are you mad at really? Let's have a real conversation. Cuz seeing you get mad at something for free is just makes you look dumb. If there's no consequence to anything else, and it's genuinely just a giveaway, I don't even know what we're mad at. But I don't know, man. It's just I don't know. It's short. It's brief today. We'll have other things we can go off about later in the show, but that's just one I had to get out because I see it all the time. But I'm gonna give you a little extra time here.
Yeah, I ran across this, I think, on one of the Magic the Gathering Facebook groups, and basically, I guess they were talking about was it? I don't know what tournament it was. I guess there was some Riftbound events. And what do you know? What convention this was?
Oh, yeah. This was at it was at a thing in Milwaukee. The NRG, I think it was just called like the NRG and they abbreviated MKE, like the airport code for Milwaukee.
Yeah, and I guess it started with somebody complaining that there were or noticing, like it's counselor complained there were 709 people playing Riftbound, and I guess significantly less of that playing Magic. And then Andrea Mengucci, who I think is Andrea Hall of Famer. I feel like
I believe he is.
okay, yeah, but definitely, obviously a player with a lot of wins under his belt, somebody that's so we definitely, I guess, got a lot of skins on the wall competitively, so to speak.
Yeah.
Basically said, yeah, it's kind of a shame that Magic has turned into a board game, and obviously that sparked a lot of debate. And I think from the context, I felt that Andrea meant that okay, Magic being a board game was meant, derisively, an insult. But to be clear, I mean, a lot of people play board games. Chess, for example, is a board game. But as we saw from a competitive standpoint, I guess, on Twitch and other streaming platforms, it apparently is better to watch than Magic. So, I mean, I know that was meant as an insult, but again, and I guess it's primarily a shot at Commander, because I guess Commander would be the game the game type that most closely resembles what most board games are, where a bunch of people can play. It's in theory more casual. So yeah, I definitely get what he was trying to say. I know people that are playing the game, like we talked about, people that play the game competitively are frustrated. They felt like the competitive aspects have been kind of let down. And another thing that I didn't realize that they weren't. How many years were there where they just kind of didn't do Hall of Fame inductions? I don't know what I guess they're probably
There
trying
was
to.
like a 4 or 5 year stretch, 4 year stretch,
Which
something like that in
again,
there. Yeah.
for anything that you would hope was going to be competitive. I mean, imagine any. And I know Magic is really not focused on trying to be an esport anymore. But man, imagine if for baseball for about 4 years, we just didn't do the Hall of Fame. It just wasn't. We just didn't get around to it, for lack of a better term. Can you imagine that? No, you can't. But that's the kind of thing where as we've seen, competitive stuff just isn't what drives Magic's bus anymore. And it's not
Yeah.
just Magic. A lot of people are like, Overwatch spent a bunch of
Hmm.
millions on their competitive league and found out to their chagrin that no, Overwatch isn't basketball, at least not in America. There was no world currently in which everybody cheered for their favorite Overwatch team the same way people cheer for their favorite basketball. As an example, I think the Dallas Fuel ended up being a two-time champion in Overwatch League while it lasted. Somebody lived in Dallas and watched the Overwatch content, had no idea that it happened until the league had already gone belly up. So it just
Yeah, it's one of those things where I've told people before, like I play other games, right? And I use Teamfight Tactics as an example. I can't name a competitive TFT player. Like I've played it semi
kind of
regularly and have for the last few years. I can name a content creator or two. That's about it. Like I mean, it's just not how people consume their games. It's just not the same thing, right? Oh, and so we're corrected because somebody will bring it up. Andre is actually not in the Hall of Fame.
okay.
He
I
was on the
wasn't sure.
ballot. I mean, and this is no shot at him. He's definitely still way better at the game than I probably will ever be. But
Right.
he
Same
did get
for
5
me.
Hall of Fame votes this year. So yeah, I mean, it's not like he won't eventually be in the Hall of Fame.
And
He's
and
had
also
a
as we mentioned, they just didn't do it for 4 years. So any of those was a year in which he absolutely could have gotten in.
yeah, quite possibly. Here's an interesting thing though, because I saw that same post going around and I responded to somebody with a pretty lengthy response. And I think okay, to your point, which I agree with. If you are a serious competitive player and that's why you like Magic, then this is going to feel like a bad time for you because you're not the number one focus anymore. For people who grew up with Magic, like it was competitive or nothing. There was no casual anything. You either hell Friday Night
I don't think
Magics
there
were
was like
competitive.
oh, okay. I was gonna say Friday Night Magic was a thing. But
Oh,
I
it
know people.
existed, but everybody was playing standard or modern or whatever, and
Yeah,
you were facing the top decks every week,
that
right?
absolutely is true.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? You could go to a Grand Prix or you can go to a Pro Tour, and that's it, right? Or I guess qualifiers to get you to the Pro Tours, but again, competitive events, right? That's all that
And it was
existed.
always an interesting cut. Your people be sitting there complaining about standard and how you have to play this card to be competitive at Friday Night Magic. And like, nobody
Yeah,
has put a gun to your head and said curb stomp that 10-year-old kid over there. You didn't have to put Hero of Blade Hold in your deck. You could have,
very true, very
but
true, right?
it was always an interesting thing for me to look at.
But it's all there was though. There was no other options. So you kind of had to come up through competitive if you played Magic. Now, obviously, over the last like 10, 12 years, we figured out, hey, there's a big casual component. They figured out how to market and make profit from the casual players, right? So it makes sense that that's a thing. But I also don't think we need to get it twisted that to be fair to Wizards here, they're not putting $0 into competitive play anymore, right? The World Championship has $1 million prize pool. The 3 Pro Tours that preceded every year have a $500,000 prize pool each. The Arena Championships have a $250,000 prize pool, and I believe there's 3 or 4 of those a year. You've got a $50,000 Magic Online event. All of the Open Series events, which there's 12 of those during the year, have a $50,000 prize pool. There's, I think, 4 regional championships that also have either $75,000, I believe, prize pool for those. Right. Not to mention the Arena Opens, where you can just win $2,000 straight up as a person, just not even having to qualify for anything. You can just, from your bedroom, win that much money that they give away to tons of people. There's we were just something we're going to talk about later, but the Arena Direct where they give you the collector's booster boxes, right? And those have all been crazy expensive, so you can still do those, and they're giving those away. So like, there's still a lot of money that goes out to competitive players every year, and I feel like I still miss some stuff in there, right? So that's part of the argument as well. Wizards are giving away literally multiple $1 million to competitive players.
Now,
Oh, you
all
want
that said, from a PR standpoint, if a Hall of Fame caliber player thinks your game sucks, many people just take away. Well, Andrea said it must be true. It's like It's like Michael Jordan saying, "Hey, basketball sucks now," which, by the way, Michael Jordan often does. In terms of like how much he,
Jordan says a lot of things.
yeah,
about a lot of people.
and because of how good he is at the game and the legacy he has off the court, many people will take everything he says as gospel. Now, Andrea probably doesn't have any Magic-related tennis shoes that I'm aware of, but still,
Sure.
his words definitely carry weight, which is why I saw it, and and you saw it, and it became. I'm sure lots of listeners ran across it as well because, again,
But here's the other part to that was also a thing, that particular event only had 2 Riftbound tournaments that I saw on their schedule. One on Saturday, one on Sunday. Basically, they're 2 of their main things they could play. But there were, I believe, 9 different Magic events that I saw on the schedule across like 4 or 5 different formats. So that's the other thing too, right? Magic players have a bunch of different ways they can play the game. So some showed up just to play modern, some were playing the team event, some were playing standard, so they were already split up across multiple things as well. So that's another part of it too, because some people might have been like, oh, the thing I want to play is on Sunday, so I'll just come on Sunday. I'm never going to come on Saturday, right? So that's part of it. The other is there's Magic events all the time everywhere. Like even for that particular event, it was in Milwaukee. This weekend there's CubeCon in Madison. Those are within driving distance of each other. So you're some of the players that are going to go to CubeCon and just have fun playing cube and draft stuff all weekend probably didn't even show up to this NRG event because they were just like, well, I'm going to be spending all my time and money next weekend anyway. I'm not going to do that on back-to-back weekends. Right. And not to mention, there's still all the other big stuff that goes on throughout the year, like Eternal Weekend, the Hunter Burt Memorial Open, blah, blah, blah. Like that happens all the time. So Magic players just have way more options. So it's not weird to see a singular event where there's going to be a lot of Riftbound players and you go like, oh, well, their main event had this many numbers. And then like the other Magic events only topped out at a couple hundred or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. But that's not to take away from Riftbound. Like they're doing well for themselves right now. Like being a game that's only like a year old, and still getting decent attendance. Granted, again, pretty much all competitive, but doing decent for themselves. So like no shade there, just kind of putting context to what was being posted. It's very easy to take one number and go like, "Oh, but look at this." And it's like, "Yeah, but we're not telling the whole story around that number."
But
That
even
was
with
my
that,
only
I would
issue.
say like most pro players, it's hard to find, especially one of the older pros that will actually stand up and say they like the current format. So I mean, is there anything you can do about that as a company? Does Wizards care about their opinion in any way?
I don't know, honestly, because one of the things that's always been a known thing about the Pro Tour or any pro level thing, I think you talk about even for other video games, is there promotional things, really. Like they give away money so people stay interested and there's some reason to aspire to play, but it's so they have something to talk about. Local news can come out and do cool stories and whatever and keep you kind of in the discussion and like, hey, our games are worth something and people have another reason to go buy cards or go spend the weekend qualifying or whatever the case is. So like, I don't know. I mean, it's not like they don't care at all, but they probably don't care the weight have the weight that people think they should have,
Yeah,
right? Because
and as long as Commander is the most profitable format, there's probably no scenario that changes that.
well, not even just Commander, just casual players as a whole, right? That's the thing. Like just Wizards knew for a long time that there were the untrackable players, we'll call them, right? If they didn't show up to a tournament, we couldn't tell what their behavior was. They have gotten better about researching, different type of surveys, this, that, and the other to figure out where people are buying and how they're buying and what their play is or whatever. And there's way more casual players. Hell, there's more casual players that don't even play Commander than people are aware of, right? They're just everywhere. And that's fine, right? That's how a lot of people engage with the game. But those people are driving a lot of sales right now. And it's just going to be what it is. It's kind of how the competitive players are basically, and this is no shot at them, this is just the reality of what the situation is they were the favored child for a while, right? Like they were if there was something Wizards were going to spend money on outside of the building for some promotional thing, it was probably going to go into something competitive. because that's what they knew they could get some return on, right? It wasn't much, but at least getting something, so they were going to spend it there. Now you're not necessarily just the first option anymore. And now it feels really bad, right? It's that whole thing of what they say, like, uh, equality feels like oppression when you've been the one on top for so long, right? It's
Wow.
kind of
Okay.
no, but I'm saying, but it's kind of like that, right? You were the favorite person, you got all the attention, you were the thing, and now that you're not, even though it's still they're still putting a lot of money into it, and there's still a lot of people trying to play competitively, you're not at the forefront, so it feels like they're not giving it any attention, even though there's still a fair amount going into it. It's sort of the vibe I'm getting, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, could there be more? Sure, there can always be more. I mean, they could give more attention to whatever, but I think using that one event's numbers and being like, "Ah, see, they're getting way more players than we're getting." It's like, no, that's not really it though. Like, because again, if you go look at the other big Magic events, like I said, the Hunter Burnt Memorial Opens, like, always draw huge, right? The regional championships are all drawing 1,000 players or around that ballpark, right? So attendance is still there for the big events. It's just not necessarily there for every single one of them because there's so many of them. Yeah. But anyway, let's hop into some sad news for a second, because I almost wanted to change this out so it wasn't so happy sounding today, because it kind of sucks. But we found out earlier this week that, well, one, we had a couple of deaths this week, but the first that kind of broke news was Dolly Parton passing. And while people might go, "You're talking about Dolly Parton on a gaming thing?" Like, the best way I could describe it, and I said this earlier, but she had the option to be a billionaire and chose not to be. And instead put stuff into communities, into kids, into her employees, into whatever. And just like one of the celebrities that everybody universally pretty much goes like, "Nah, well, we take a bullet for her." You know
And
what I
by the
mean?
way,
Like,
if you look in any Magic related forum right now, there are 15 different versions of a legendary Dolly Parton card. So it's not just us, it's talking about it.
yeah, like, she was important to a lot of communities, right? While she was a country singer, you would think like, "Oh, she's probably gonna be super conservative, whatever." Oh no. There is tons of interviews of her saying, like, if you're black or you're gay or you're this, like, you should be allowed to just be who you are. I don't know why we make a big deal out of it. Right. And she even says, like, yeah, she gets attacked from conservatives regularly. She said, doesn't care. I'm good. I'm still gonna be taking care of people. Be mad if you're gonna be mad. So like people are like, yeah, they're right at dawn for Dolly Parton.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that was a legit thing. So yeah, that was
I mean, Dolly's obit literally, you could take the first page and that would be more than most people have ever accomplished in their life.
oh
And
yeah.
she wrote Jolene and I Will Always Love You, two of the greatest songs ever, not just in country, in any genre, apparently within a couple of days of each other. So they were able to appear on the same album. That most songwriters that have worked in the industry for 50 years will never write as good as somebody compared it to literally creating the Mona Lisa and painting the Sistine Chapel in the same week. That's the significance that it had.
Yeah.
One
And
of the
also,
top
oh, go
5
ahead.
songwriters that ever lived, and I doubt anybody would dispute that.
Oh, she has stuff. Those have been covered by other artists a million times too.
Right.
But yeah, I would also say that, she put money into reading programs, into underprivileged communities, and, just like the list goes on and on and on. Like, if you don't know about her, definitely go read up on her. I mean, if there was a way to give somebody a high honor of something posthumously or whatever, she deserves all of them.
Oh, I'm sure she will get all of those things. She may already have like the Kennedy Center. I'm sure, obviously, probably, country awards, and I'm sure possibly hundreds to see all the great songs. And another thing, she was able to retain control of like her own publishing and her own
Yeah.
masters at a time when most men didn't have that right.
Yeah.
Part of the reason
She's
she
an
was able,
icon, man.
to make so much money is because she always kept control of her own brand. She saw what happened to Elvis, as did a lot of people, and was adamant that it would not happen to her, and she worked to
Yeah.
make sure that it didn't.
Now, I want to follow up also and say there was another death that kind of rocked the nerd community a little bit too, and that was Tim Curry's passing. Obviously, most well known probably for Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Yeah.
that a lot of people probably recognize him in. And I'll be honest, like I wasn't up until probably, man, late 20s, early 30s, that I wasn't really familiar with Tim Curry's catalog all that much.
Oh yeah,
Like, yeah,
it's
and
wild.
people were surprised when I told them that. Like, how do you not know? I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, it just didn't. I just wasn't into some of the movies he did or whatever. It just didn't. They didn't cross my radar for a long time. But I always understood that he was popular and his persona and his acting or whatever had a significance to a lot of people I knew. So I knew as soon as I saw him being, the announcement posted online, I was like, oh, there's going to be people busted up over this one.
And he
But
had a
mhm,
stroke several years ago, so obviously had been in declining health for. But and even after that, he was able to do a lot of voice work. Like I think I would say Fox did a Rocky Horror live show, and I think in that he was able to be the narrator. Because it wasn't as physically demanding. So still, was even after having so many health challenges, was able to keep acting and keep creating great work, and just
yeah,
inspiration
man,
to so many people.
it makes for a tough week.
Yeah.
When two that really affected people that people really like just nearly back to back. I think they were like 2 days apart or something. So that's pretty rough. And I don't even, we didn't mention it on the show previously, but Hayden Panettiere also had passed earlier this year. That a lot of nerds might know from being the cheerleader in Heroes. So
Yeah,
it,
also, she was, the coach's daughter in Remember the Titans. I think the first time
yep,
I saw her in anything was Guiding Light, where she was Lily Small, she had to have probably been, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old at that point, probably, but again, you could already tell, like, yeah, okay, there's as we say, everybody, on soaps is obviously an incredible actor. That said, like you talked about, like Andrea being a far better player, far better actor than I will ever be. But yeah, even among incredible actors, you could tell, okay, yeah, she is going to be a superstar. She is going to go places, and she absolutely, you can tell. That's one thing. Soap
yeah,
operas have often been I think Brad Pitt. I think pretty much like if you go down the list of your favorite actors, especially going back, into the 90s and the 80s and so on, more than likely they got their start or at least spent some time on one of the soap operas. It was very much a proving ground for actors.
yeah, that's true. We've seen that a few times. But yeah, man, I just one of those things where this is just a reminder because they're all different ages and everything else and different life situations. Like you can't really take anybody for granted, man. Like
No.
and that's why we talk about even in our own communities. Whether we're talking about magic or our hometowns or whatever. If there's people that matter, at least let them know that they matter to you, because any day could be that day. You know what I mean? Like we don't know, so don't lose sight of that. But yeah, let's hop into some topics because we have a decent bit of ground to cover here on these. So we're going to start with the thing that you had pointed out to me that apparently Upper Deck and now has a new agreement with Hasbro. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
mhm,
they've talked about, I guess definitely doing something with Transformers for the 40th anniversary. Oh my God, my back hurts. But yeah,
yeah,
we checked out 40th anniversary. It was also at that point that I realized that, yeah, Hazard of the Coast. Hasbro slash Winds of the Coast has been torturing me for 40 years now. Ever since they murdered Optimus Prime, I've been fighting with this company for 4 decades now. Okay.
you know what, that movie was probably like the most like emotional roller coaster abusive thing to a kid because it's like,
Yeah, because I
oh,
mean,
there's this thing, and then Optimus Prime's dead, and you're like, oh wait, is he really dead? And then they pull out the Allspark or whatever, and you're like, oh, he's actually like dead. And then they're like, but we have the sweet new car and Hot Rod or whatever, and you're like,
by
oh,
the
that is
way,
pretty
not just
cool though.
Optimus, literally almost all of Gen 1, all the characters, it was It was Joss Whedon before Joss Whedon. All your favorite robots got killed in like with the first 2 minutes of that movie.
Yep, but they gave you something to look forward to though immediately. Like, don't worry, we have a new leader.
And yeah, that's the thing they didn't. I always hated Hot Rod. I never forgive him for the death. And then to find out, as an adult, the whole damn thing was to sell toys.
Of course, every single cartoon we had growing up was to sell toys.
You
If
murdered, yeah, they all were, but no other cartoon. Nobody killed all the Thundercats in a minute. That was
fair,
I
fair.
read about one kid who didn't just didn't speak for a couple of weeks after that because of the trade. Yeah, I get it.
I mean,
So,
eventually there was more Optimus Prime stuff anyway, but
yeah, but as a kid, you don't know that everybody comes back.
Exactly. You don't know
This is
yet.
your first, now obviously as adults we realize, yeah, okay. When we saw, there were people I remember in Endgame crying, or not Endgame, but yeah, I guess it was
Oh yeah.
first part of Endgame. We're like, oh my god, they just killed all these characters, and me, veteran comic book reader, movie watcher, like, it's fine.
Yeah,
They'll be
exactly.
back. I read this story. Don't worry. Everybody comes back. People are in tears because they're like, oh my God, all these people are dead forever. Like, no, comics ain't ever worked
The
like
thing is, especially in that one, when you saw that Spider-Man blipped out or whatever, you're like, nah,
yeah,
they're coming back.
I don't
Right?
I don't
If it had,
feel so good, Mr. Stark. Oh my
yeah.
God. I knew it was about to happen and still was like, damn, that's just
But see, the
the
thing is,
gut punch.
if they'd have done just like the B tier characters, you could have been like, oh, maybe. You know what I mean? But like Spider-Man, we're like, nah, they're all coming
Yeah.
back.
No way they don't undo this.
Yeah, but anyway, tell us about this deal with the agreement with the two companies here.
I mean, that's I guess that's what we know at this point. They're making cards and have even mentioned possibly doing something, I guess, in the gaming space, which again, since Wizards is already a card company, seems a little weird, but yeah, they apparently teased possibly making a Transformers version of Legendary, which
Yeah.
okay, interesting.
I mean, I'll say this though. I mean, Hasbro is always doling out the licenses to different companies, even other game companies, even while they've owned Wizards of the Coast, because one, they own so many damn licenses. Like, there's no way, even if Wizards wanted to, they couldn't make every game for all the licenses. Because I mean, what does Hasbro own? Like 35 brands or something right
Oh, yeah,
now?
it's insane. This release list: Transformers, Power Rangers, GI Joe, Mask, Jim and the Hologram. So yeah,
Yeah, not to mention they still have license for what, like Peppa Pig,
right.
whatever, a bunch of other stuff, right?
Where's
So
my Peppa Pig card game? Where's my
yeah,
Peppa Pig
exactly.
secret lair? How have we not got that yet?
You laugh. Peppa Pig's secret lair might actually happen at some point. So
I wouldn't doubt it at this point.
you might hold on to that one.
Bluey? I don't think they own Bluey, but just if you want to read,
Yeah.
hey, take my money for the Bluey secret lair.
But with the 40th anniversary coming up, Upper Deck, regardless of past transgressions, is still one of the most prominent companies for making trading cards.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Them making games, fine. I'm sure some people will read into that a little bit, but at the end of the day, the licenses were going to go to somebody. And if you want a game made, as we've already seen, Wizards of the Coast, unless they hired like another 200 people, probably wouldn't be able to produce much more than they do right now. Right?
Yeah,
Their max
they're having a
capacity.
hard time, getting the current products to you. So yeah, they are clearly running at at full speed.
Oh yeah, and printing's already an issue, right?
Yeah,
They
this
can't do
may
any more than
be
that.
they may need other people's press, other people's resources, and it inevitably is cheaper and easier to pay somebody else to do it. Because again, Legendary has been around for God. It feels like it's got to be what, 10, if not 15
Yeah, I was
years.
gonna say at least 15 years, probably. Yeah, it's been a while.
So yeah, if you think you can get money for a Transformers Legendary set, and I mean you probably can. Power Rangers, GI Joe, Mask, heck, maybe even Jim and the Holograms. I don't know. Maybe you can fight the. I might fight the Misfits in
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
battle or something. You give me a.
But yeah, I think this is one of those ones that people will look into it and be like, oh, but Hasbro's giving a game license to somebody else. It's like, no, that's just business as usual. It's fine. Nothing untoward going on here. Other news, though, there's a class action lawsuit that has been filed by Twitch streamers to sue Twitch and Amazon over this whole generative AI training off of their stuff. And it looks like that's kind of the top line of what we know right now. Don't know how many streamers are going to sign on to participate or whatnot, but I think it's going to come back to bite Twitch a little bit on their own because they even posted publicly of just like, yeah, we're doing this. You have to opt out. It's not an opt in. And on top of that, they did a live stream where one of their higher ups said specifically, well, yeah, we made it this way because if we didn't, y'all wouldn't sign up to do it. I mean, didn't say it that way with that inflection, but that was
But
the answer he gave,
yeah,
right?
we all knew that. Everybody already knew that.
Yeah. So it's like you've admitted to going against what a lot of your users would want at that point.
And
So
in fairness, gaming companies been doing that. Can nobody ask for all the microtransactions? They just
yeah.
had you asked us again, we would have not opted in. Had you asked us, about if we'd still like physical discs, they have shown us that to a large extent they don't care what we want. Give us money.
Yep. So yeah, this it's an interesting thing. It'll be worth following. We'll probably mention it down the road as more information comes out, which probably won't be for a couple months because that's just how these things work. But if anything, we'll probably have a link to share because I'll probably do a sign up for people who want to be part of the suit or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how it ends up, but probably not great for Twitch and Amazon because the basis of the whole thing is basically saying, hey, not only did you not make it easy for us to just not be part of it, you didn't
Right.
offer any type of consultation or compensation as part of it. So, especially when these are people that are directly helping you make money, like they're the whole reason your platform exists. So we'll see how it ends up. On other news, as we mentioned, the collectors boosters earlier with like Arena Direct, they just did an event with the Hobbit collector boosters you could get, and it sold out, which was cool. But it was also weird for people that they had sold out and they couldn't sign up anymore. And to me, this is a good sign because it's basically Wizards saying, hey, we've seen the complaints about us having to swap product out before or stuff not getting to people quickly because they have to source, whatever they can find on the market to ship out or whatever the situation was that was going on. But if this means they can meet ship times and everybody gets exactly what they played for, it sounds like what they're doing is saying, hey, we have, and I'm just making up a number here, but like, okay, we have 1,000 boxes available. Once we get to, that number, let's say it was 960, 970, and then whatever remaining drafts were going on, get close to that number, we're turning it off. So once it's done, all the winners will be able to have their stuff shipped out. I'm assuming in a reasonable manner because you have the product on hand. Nobody should have any issues. So the follow up here will be: do we see complaints from this? Because if not,
I mean, of
great.
course we will. I guess the question will be like, hey, are there,
Are they legitimate complaints? I guess. But yeah, because this sounds like what we should have been doing to begin with, right? Don't leave it open ended so just everybody can keep playing 1,000 times or whatever. It's just, hey, this is
yeah,
what we
there is,
have. Once they're
even
out, they're out.
even from Wizards, there is not an unlimited amount of product.
Yeah. Hell, the truth is, even if they wanted to go back to printing some without telling people, they wouldn't even be able to do it right now. That wouldn't even be an option. So they literally are doing the thing that makes the most sense. But we do have some other fun Magic news because of the release of the upcoming Reality Fracture. So we did get Rosewater's post on Tumblr in his blogatog or whatever we call it. He actually posted something very interesting that people like of the teaser promo or whatever we call this. But what he normally does is he lists some hints at different mechanics. He'll put some card names in there that are very weird and some different type of like creature types that you don't normally see to get people speculating. So kind of just went down and kind of looked for some interesting things. One of the things is there's a cycle of color hosers for ally colors, which is interesting. So there's going to be like a green card that harms white stuff, for instance. Because normally a green card would be anti-blue, anti-black. So now there'll be one that's probably anti-red and white, which would be the first time I can think of we're really seeing something like that, which would be kind of
It
cool.
took a minute for me to process when you said color hosers. Like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I guess it's a fairly common Magic term, but I was like, what? I feel like that's the first time I've heard it somehow.
Yeah. What else we have? Let's see. There's a quote from a card text that says, "That many 5/5 red dragon creature tokens with flying are created instead." So something that would, if you would make a token or something, if you would draw a card or whatever, instead you make that many 5/5 red dragons.
I guess that's Sarkin, I would assume, or Sarkin related.
Probably, but it may not be Sarkin.
Well, true
It
reality fracture. It could
might
be.
be a Jace that makes
Yeah, it
dragons.
could be it because we fractured reality.
That's the thing. Like normally you would read these and you kind of go, "Oh, it's probably this," but
Yeah.
then you kind of have to go
reality
like,
fracture.
"Yeah." Like again, I was thinking tokens, but maybe you're making a dragon for drawing your second card on the turn or whatever. Like I don't know.
So what dead characters? I threw Gideon out there. What are some other dead characters that are probably going to come back during this?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't
That's
know.
one
I
of the
get
big
in.
tricks of changing the timeline. Is well, okay, this person didn't die for XYZ reason.
Yeah, that's true. Did Tamio die during the whole Phyrexian thing after she got all Phyrexianed up? I think so. She might not. She might be around now. So that
Yeah,
could be one.
and no Phyrexians. So yeah, it's possible.
Yep. Let's
I'm trying
see.
to think of
Exile
some
the.
other well-known characters that occurring to the current timeline are dead.
I don't. There's a lot that are missing, sort of
Yeah.
like Garrick, Koth, whatever that we just haven't seen in a long time, but we don't think they're dead. So, but we already know there's going to be another Garrick because they've shown that in the
Yeah.
promo. So we know he'll be around. There's card text that says exile all but the bottom card of each opponent's library. I don't like that at all. Unless
Bolus. I wonder where Bolus is in this.
they'll have Bolus be around, even though he's supposed to be in like whatever the imaginary prison place or whatever.
But again, if you rewrite reality, then he's not in
exactly.
there. In theory,
I guess that could also be Bolus's way back into the timeline of like
right.
He could break free, and now we have to deal with Bolus again for the next like 5 years.
Yeah,
or
who else in jail? Basically, any other.
No,
anybody else on
that's
lockdown?
not true. That's not true. Emrakul was imprisoned in the moon or whatever.
Okay.
On Innistrad. So maybe either of those. Who knows? And then there's some fun, interesting creature types in here too. One that I think we saw was Gremlin Elemental, which is kind of weird. Ogre Crab Wizard. That is a visual.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I don't know what that's going to be just yet. But one of the things I did note is they put a couple of card names here of one is Rescue Girl First Responder. And it's an interesting inclusion because it shows us that we have Massacre Girl, who is a known character on Ravnica.
Okay, and now she's a Rescue Girl.
Yeah, where Ravnica Girls puts -1/-1s on things or cares about your opponent's creatures having -1/-1 counters, right? So Rescue Girl could be putting +1/+1 counters or gaining life or whatever, doing the opposite of killing, basically, of what Massacre Girl does. So it's going to be an interesting set. I don't know how this is going to play out, but I think, if nothing else, the full-time regular hardcore Magic fans should at least appreciate it because they're going to be able to dip into a lot of different things to tell the stories they're going to try to tell. So that could be kind of fun.
Are we getting any kind of book or tie-in along those lines? Or
that I don't know yet. I didn't even know about the Strixhaven book until, almost right when it came out.
Those what-if stories, as Marvel has shown, those what-if stories can be just incredibly fun. Like, what if something happened this way?
Yeah, like, now that we've speculated on it, if they're going to, this is total speculation, but if they did want to use it as a way to bring a character back, whether we're talking about a Gideon or a Bolus or whatever, that would be a good way to do it. If it's like, hey, we're going to introduce this thing, and then we're going to finish it in the book and show you, how it happens. So possible that could be something that we just don't know about yet. But okay, dude, why don't you everybody they can find you when you're not doing the show?
All right, you can see me on YouTube over at Age of Wagers. Pick new playlist going called Signal Calls, just basically talking about which quarterback NFL teams should pick. If I feel like Peyton Manning. If you like quarterbacks, 6'5", laser rocket arm, at the
Yep.
feet of your leg.
Hey, speaking of, if y'all need a spot to fill in your fantasy football league, hit your boy up. I got a little space for one or two more. But yeah, you can find me at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And like always, lots of cool stuff coming to the channel. By the way, if you haven't checked the YouTube channel out, we have a couple of cool videos, kind of some retrospectives on foundations and one on Wooberg, which is probably Watsy's biggest marketing blunders. You should check that out. But wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves, your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.